Hi, this is Michelle from the Happy Mind, Happy Life podcast, and I am extremely grateful to have been working with Kim. When we started working together, I knew I wanted to grow my audience, but I wasn't sure how, and I didn't realize how much impact small strategic tweaks could really make. And Kim helped me refine my messaging just by adjusting like my titles and descriptions and make subtle shifts that literally improved my visibility to the point where I have tripled my listeners over the course of just a couple months. And nothing felt overwhelming. Nothing felt forced. It all just aligned with my brand and what it is that I wanted to put out there. And yeah, I'm so thankful for her guidance and the momentum that we've created together.
Hello there, beautiful women. It is Kim Parkinson with Podcasting for Your Spiritual Business. And today I have on an expert in human design. Sandra Wint works with women leaders who are looking successful on paper, but feel internally overextended, misrepresented, or emotionally exhausted. I think we all feel that, right, ladies? Women seek her out when they feel lost and disconnected. They've done what they can and done what they've been told and need to do to be happy, but they're just not. She helps them disentangle burnout from emotional overwhelm, reclaim authentic authority, and lead from alignment rather than compliance. I love that. I feel like that is such a big thing with women right now, especially women in my age bracket. I just turned 50 last November, and I've had a business now for a while, and I feel like sometimes we all go through those. So thank you so much for being on today, Sandra. And do you have any words of wisdom right off the bat here?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. Human design is fascinating. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. But you don't just do human design. I looked on your website because I'm a stalker. So I looked on your website. You do women's circles. You host A Course in Miracles every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. Way to go.
Well, we finished that round, and I'm waiting for the call to start another one. Yes, but yes.
Yeah. And a women's circle, do you do them monthly, weekly? What do you do for those?
Usually I do them when I feel called to do those. So usually quarterly. The last one was over solstice. Yeah.
What is it coming up next here? Well, actually, this is going to air in April, so we'll have just gotten through Ostera, right?
Yes.
Which is the beginning of spring. So, love that. I can't wait for it to be spring. Here, we're recording this in late February, and where I am, we just got 33 inches of snow. So,
where are you?
I am just south of Boston.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I'm in Cleveland, and we've had a really hard winter.
Yeah. So by the time this airs, we'll be like, hallelujah, spring is here.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So I have some questions about human design. And just to preface it, just in case you are going to talk about it at all or whatnot, just so my audience knows, I'm a 5-1 human design self-projected projector.
But I know exactly what that means.
So let me ask you a couple questions about human design and all of that, right? So you work with women who are looking successful on paper, but they're internally exhausted. What's really happening underneath that burnout?
Yeah. So a couple of things that I like to set straight right off the top. Burnout, people tend to think of it as I'm just tired. I'm overworked. I got too many things going on. That is an aspect of burnout, but it is not the full story of burnout. So burnout is emotional, and you can be burnt out and not be feeling overworked, which is often very confusing for people. I don't feel like I'm overworked, but I'm just really struggling to just show up every day. Because the emotional overwhelm is what really drives it. So the difference between just being overworked and being in burnout is that when you're overworked, you can go on vacation. You can take some time off. You can remove the stress of the overwork, and the stress goes down. With burnout, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It does not go away. So think of fight or flight, right? If you're being chased by a bear, if you are only in a overwork situation, I can take the bear away and your fight or flight response starts to reduce. When you are in burnout, you have been in fight or flight for so long that if I take the bear away, that still doesn't change your situation. And that's what people fail to understand, women in particular, about burnout, because the emotional investment we have and the emotional work that we do in families and every day is exhausting. So mothers, right? And even women who are not mothers, right? Still, who takes care of figuring out the mother-in-law's gifts? Who takes care of figuring out that the mother-in-law still needs things, right? Who takes care of making sure that the husband has called all the things and done all the things that need to be done? Women carry that emotional load even when they don't have children, or when their children are adults and have moved out of the home. There's still that emotional work that needs to be done for the family. And so, yes, we've gotten to a point where there's more equitable distribution of the work, but it's still the women who are defining the work, managing the work, managing the emotional work, and making sure that that's all getting done and planning it out. So that's burnout. What's going on under the surface, though, is that I believe many of the women that I work with, we've been socialized to behave a particular way. And what is happening underneath the surface is, well, if I do these 5 things and if I am this way, everybody will like me and I will be happy. The problem is often those 5 things keep changing. The rules keep changing. Who we're trying to please keeps changing. And what we fail to understand is those are expectations of other people on us, not necessarily reflections of who we actually are. So those things that we're trying to fix about ourselves, and I say air quotes when I say fix about ourselves, if only I could do these things better, those are actually our normal traits. And we can't really fix that part of ourselves. And what I love about human design is it shows us those areas where our strengths are actually the things that people have told us are wrong with us and that we need to fix. And what ends up happening for a lot of my clients and a lot of the women that I work with, just in reading their human design, is they kind of go, oh, wait a minute. I always thought that was the wrong thing for me to be doing. What are you telling me now? This, I need to actually lean into this more. Yes, this is who you are. And to try to be somebody other than who you are is exhausting.
Yeah.
And on top of that, right, you're never going to not be who you are. So the more you can lean into that, the less work you're going to have, the more grounded you're going to be. And what ends up happening is people have a lot of trouble letting go because other people have told them they shouldn't be that way. And that's what I call other people's crap, or OPC.
I love that. That's true. Yeah. I just want to take one step back here, and I just want to see if you can, just in case anybody doesn't know, if you could just quickly describe or explain what human design is, because the rest of the questions and the rest of the conversation is going to all revolve around that. And I don't want somebody to be like, I don't know what that is. So could you just explain that a little bit more for everybody?
Sure. So human design is a system that was channeled to an individual And then he started training other people on what the system was. But the system is basically a amalgamation of several different tools, one of them being astrology. So it combines astrology, it combines the Kabbalah tree of life, it combines the Hindu chakra system and the I Ching. And it takes all of these different tools and rolls them up into one product or one system that's called human design. And lest we all think that it's the kitchen sink, there's one more item in there, and that's quantum physics.
Oh,
the idea
okay.
that as neutrinos pass through the environment and pass through us, they pick up different elements of information, and that neutrino stream is always hitting us, always impacting us. And so that is also taken into consideration in this system.
Okay. Wow.
It's very deep. It's very complex. It is not something that you go in and you say, hey, I'm going to learn everything I need to learn just by sitting down once. And the idea of human design is that once you learn about yourself, you can start to move in a way that is more aligned with who you are naturally, so that you can leverage your own strengths and abilities, because you were here to do a specific purpose. And that purpose is best fulfilled when you are living 100% in alignment with who you really are.
I love that. And I do feel like that since I have been on the human design path, I can see where a lot of my human design specifically helps and guides me through my life. I do love that. So how would human design help a woman understand whether she's burning out or just misaligned?
Usually just knowing a couple of things about our human design is enough for us to understand, to come to that aha moment of, oh, I'm not operating the way I should be. Right? And it's different for everyone. So for you as a 5/1 projector, when did you feel the aha for yourself? What was it? Was it learning about your type? Was it learning about your profile? What specifically helped you kind of go, oh?
Yeah, when I realized that projectors are waiting for the invitation, I was like, that is why I have always been held back. And then the other piece that I think really kind of played into my human design as well is I once had a coach tell me that when I speak, I coach myself. She's like, I don't need to coach you. You just coached yourself. And I feel like those were both aligned with the type of human design that I have. And I was fascinated by that.
Yeah. In particular, as a self-projected projector, right? So maybe you can share with folks what you understand about self-projected.
Yeah. So for me, what I feel like for self-projected is that I am able to hear what is going on in my brain. If I am able to get it out of my head and hear what's going on with my brain, I will then be able to internalize it better and then be able to actually bring whatever that is to fruition. If I have an amazing idea in the shower and I don't say it out loud, it never comes to fruition. But if I talk and say it and my ears can hear it, I can do it. I can remember it. That's the other thing I would say. I don't know if this is a direct relation. I'm thinking it is. But if I don't say it and it stays in my head and I don't speak it out loud, I don't ever remember it ever again. It's gone to the ether. It's like my brain has reabsorbed it and it's like it wasn't important enough. So speak. I always have to speak whatever it is that I am, I want to do. I want to bring forth to the world. So am I on track there?
Yes, absolutely. And so where I want to go next is when you learned that about yourself. I mean, you've always known this about yourself, right? That if I talk out loud, I can kind of walk myself through it. How did people respond to you before you knew that that was part of your design?
Yeah, before I can remember being a very quiet child. I had my nose in a book in the corner of the room, sitting in the door jamb. I can remember reading by the bathroom light when I'm supposed to be in bed. So, yeah, I just didn't use it. I really didn't. And I feel like in a lot of ways, I was a very naive child. I didn't actually come out of my shell and really become the person that I am until I was in my 30s. And that's when I started speaking more. I had children, so I had to speak. And then that, just moved from there. And at that time, it was actually 2003. I took a job as a craft teacher. And so I was teaching people through my voice in person, and they were eating it up. It was like candy out of my hands. And I was like, this is my calling. I love it. But before that, yeah, very quiet. My husband and I have been together for 34 years, and we'll be married 29 by the time this airs. And he distinctly tells me, he's like, when I met you, you had friends in high school, then you didn't have any friends. It was just you and I for until the kids were born. And then all of a sudden, it turned, and now you have everybody as friends. You have lots of friends now. And I can see that progression where I wasn't aware of my design, and maybe I was ignoring it for that first part of my life.
So what a lot of people find is that when they learn about their design, there's a lot of conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And the conditioning is the other people's crap that I talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's I can't talk out loud. People will think I'm strange, right?
Yeah.
I can't talk to myself in a room. People will think there's something going on with me. I can't talk myself out loud to talk myself into something because people misinterpret that and start responding to me. And it's got nothing to do with me wanting other people's opinions, is that I need to hear myself, right? So these are all conditioned responses that we have about how we should be.
Yeah.
And we get that from other people.
Oh, sure.
Once we understand our design, the beauty of it is that we can start to distinguish those things that other people tell me I need to be, that conditioning that I carry with me, versus this isn't me, this isn't my authentic self. So for me, I'm an emotional generator.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that I am emotional. It means that I make my decisions using my emotions. So for me, it is never right to make a decision in the spur of the moment.
Okay. Good to know. Sure.
So for people who say, well, just check in with your gut, that's not a valid response for me because my emotions cloud my gut response.
Interesting. Yeah.
So as an emotional generator, what I need to do is I need to sit with a decision while my emotions steady. So I might get overly excited about something and say, yes, 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 yes. And then be swayed into a yes, only to find out it should have been a no because I was just excited at that particular time. Or, right, the reverse. I was really down about something, or I was frustrated or angry about something. And my answer was an immediate no, I don't want to do that. Right.
Yeah.
But after my emotions have come and settled, I might say, oh, you know what? Yes, no, that is aligned. Let me go do that. Right. So as if your authority for you, it's self-projected. I need to check in with myself and hear myself, right? For me, it's emotional. My emotions will guide me, but they also need time to not be impacted by what's going on at that moment in time. So once I've learned that, what I do personally is that I will make a decision and then I will let it sit for 2 or 3 days to just marinate before I communicate it.
Sure.
Right. And then as it marinates, I'll notice whether or not this is right for me or not. So one of the things that I've learned to do is I've learned to put a lot of things in my Amazon cart.
Yes.
and let my cart sit there for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come back to it in a week, usually what ends up happening is half the stuff that was in it comes out.
Oh, self-control there, ma'am. Good job.
It's not, but I know that for me, that is kind of how I make decisions. Now,
Sure.
for people who are not emotional, meaning they do not have a defined solar plexus, you do not have a defined solar plexus.
Correct.
Generators can only be emotional generators or sacral generators.
Okay.
So for generators who do not have a defined solar plexus, they're sacral generators. And for them, checking with their gut is the right response.
Okay.
So my husband is a sacral generator.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it's absolutely important for him to check his gut. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? Yes. Do you want to go to this store? Yes or no? No.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For me, it's, I don't know, maybe. Let me get back to you in 2 or 3 days. We'll figure out how I feel about it.
That's fascinating because I do, now that you've mentioned that, I do have that intuitive hit. And honestly, I was thinking that my intuitive hit was being pulled out of my Scorpio-ness. So my Scorpio sign, because that's very on par with the Scorpio being intuitive. I wonder, are there Scorpios that don't have that are emotional? There must be human design Scorpios that are emotional out there, that they must have that internal like struggle all the time, because the Scorpio part of them is saying intuitive, and then the human design part of them is saying emotional, right?
Well, so what would happen is, it's very interesting because I love astrology. And the more that I worked with human design, the more it pushed me back into astrology to really understand. And sometimes I'll look at people's charts and I'll start doing the digging in on their chart, and it will say basically, around expression, how their Mercury placement is, and the houses that the Mercury placement is in. It might say this person is highly intuitive, but needs time to ground into their answer before they respond back. And if you go to their human design, you'll see they actually have an emotional or a defined solar plexus. And so it's not that they're different. It's that human design presents the same data, but in a different way.
I love that. I didn't know that. And that's fast. Thank you so much for that. That makes it a much clearer, because I can see where that would be in your birth chart. And then of course, with your human design, when you overlap them, it has to work out, right? That has to.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way that it doesn't. So the reason that I like to go back and forth between them is because there's nuances.
Mm.
So one of the things that I think human design does incredibly well is it lets you know how to be in alignment, how to make decisions, and how to check whether or not you are operating from a place of obligation versus a place of alignment.
Yeah.
So type, strategy, and authority are the foundation of human design. Part of your strategy is self, not self. It is your way of knowing when you are in and out of alignment. So for you, it's bitterness.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Right?
Yep.
When you are out of alignment, you feel bitter.
Yeah.
When you are in alignment, you feel success.
That's very true. Yes.
For me, it's when I'm out of alignment, I feel frustration. And when I'm in alignment, I feel satisfaction. For manifestors, it's anger versus peace.
Yeah. I mentioned my oldest son is a manifester. He's also a retired Marine. And yes, he has anger or peace.
Yeah.
Him.
And so one of the things that I love about human design that I don't think astrology does as well is, okay, I'm a Taurus with a rising sign of Scorpio and a lunar sign of Leo. How do I know when I'm in or out of alignment?
Yeah.
Right? That's so hard to figure that out. I have never found astrology to be useful in terms of how to make decisions, how to know when I'm in and out of alignment, or even how to engage my energy. When I learned human design, I was like, wow, this is great. So if I am finding joy in the work that I do and I feel a sense of success, then I am working in a way that is aligned for my energy.
Love it. Okay.
Versus, right, when I feel frustrated, then I'm not doing the things that I should be doing.
Yeah.
So this is great for just understanding where my cues are. For you, you're a non-sacral being, which means that your sacral center is undefined.
Yes.
So that means you have a limited amount of energy. Unlike me, who is the ever ready bunny who can like keep going and going and going and going and going. Well, part of the reason that you need to be invited in is that otherwise you're wasting that limited supply of energy that you have.
Yeah.
And you're using it on people who are not ready to hear your message.
True. Yeah.
So why waste your energy? If you only have $5, why spend $10 trying to give it to people who don't want?
Good analogy. Yeah.
Right. Versus say, and the same goes true for a manifester, right? They're also non-sacral beings, so they don't have a defined sacral center. And for them, it's like, it's even more so.
So I mentioned earlier to you that I have two Australian Shepherds, and being a projector with the 4 hours of energy, I feel like I have sucked the life out of them, because they should be very active dogs, but they are couch potatoes. I do know that I can draw energy off of other people when I'm in the room with them. Does it work across species like that? Am I not?
Well,
Am I
yes.
thinking it through? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, right, you can borrow other people's energy.
Yeah.
You can push through and do work simply because you're borrowing on other people's excitement, on other people's engagement, on the energy of the what's present. The big problem is though that you will eventually collapse.
Yeah, I do get to a point, and I have totally, and I know this, where I actually have a chair here. It's kind of like a little couch chair, and I just go there and I sit and I will just do nothing for an hour or two. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the challenges with being a projector, especially when you're children, right? And you probably saw this with your manifestor son.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have the energy to go, go, go. Right? And so they'll be like, they'll go, go, go. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, I'm like totally done.
Mm-hmm.
But, as parents, we can push them and we can say, oh, come on, why are you so tired? Right? You're so young. You shouldn't be so tired. Right? And the whole point, the whole beauty of the human design process is that once we understand it as the adults, we can help the children really kind of come into their own gifts as well.
Yeah. It's so important to understand who you are, and then guide the children to that. Yeah. We have talked several times in this household about our human design and different types. And I've actually talked to my friends. I did my mom's, my sisters. My mom is a projector. I don't remember what type, but she's a projector. And my youngest sister is a projector as well. So at one point there was 3 projectors living in the same house, which I'm sure we were all just like exhausted. I can't imagine. So very fun. When you think about human design and your business, what do you help people see for their visibility? And so what would you look at in your human design to say, this is the type of business I should be doing, or this is the type of niche I should be in? I'm sure that these are different pieces, but is there any particular gates that you should be looking at, or specific types of authority or design, or any part of that you should be honing in on when you own your own business?
Yes. So for entrepreneurs, I think understanding your human design can be incredibly useful. For example, I always look at people's sun sign to understand their visibility.
Okay.
So your sun sign or your sun gate tells, and where your sun is sitting astrologically in your houses, that tells us a lot about how you shine,
Okay.
right? So what specifically creates visibility for you, and in what house might drive some understanding of the kinds of activities that might be involved in allowing you to shine. So, for example, my son actually happens to live in the sixth house of work and career,
Oh, okay.
right? So, a lot of my visibility will come through the work that I do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It also, I carry gate 3, which is all about innovation. And so I'm not the inventor, I'm the engineer that comes in and refines an idea, right?
Mm.
To have innovative energy is really about taking a concept or an idea or something that already somebody has developed and look at a way to apply it differently. So when you think about those things, how do I layer those into how I personally become visible and where my strength really is in terms of being able to help others? It's really about in my work by being innovative and specifically around bringing solutions to the table. So that is my profile, my 5-1 profile, which I know you carry as well.
Yes.
So, as entrepreneurs, I think understanding your sun positioning is incredibly important. Understanding your type can be important from the perspective of understanding how best to engage with your clients. So, for you, Kim, as a projector, right, it's
Mhm.
so important for people to understand your expertise and for you to be viewed as the expert, as the go to person. And if you try to push, you're not going to be as successful as if you simply share information that highlights your expertise.
Mm.
So, when you are posting on social media, for example, are you posting about what you're doing or are you posting about your knowledge or
Yeah.
how your knowledge can be useful to others? Because that is what's going to attract people to you is when you are sharing your expertise, they see you as the expert, they come, they seek you out, they invite you into their process. That will be a whole lot easier than you making cold calls to people who don't know you.
Oh, yeah. No, that would scare me anyway. I don't think that is definitely not in my anything design to call, make a cold call to somebody. Sure. Yeah. I can feel that too. If someone wants to look at their human design and they want to start a podcast, grow a podcast specifically, because actually, let me back up just a smidgy here because I know that you also have a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast? And you have a co-host, which I love. I love. Yeah, tell us about that, and then we'll get into that.
So, our podcast is called Exposing the Hidden Reality, and it is focused on talking to women about how they experience bias. So, my co host is a career reinvention coach. She helps people either manage their existing career, right,
Mhm.
to grow within their own organization, or to shift into a new placement. Helps them prepare their resume and understand their depths of skills and how that can be transferable either to a new job or a new company or even a completely new career. The people that she likes to work with, or the people that seek her out primarily, are women who have spent a long time maybe in a job doing what they needed to do to just support their family.
Yeah.
And so now they've gotten to a point where, oh, you know what? All those other obligations, have moved on, shifted, whatever, and now I'm ready to, for whatever reason, grow bigger
Okay.
or move.
Sure.
I work with women, as we've said, who are looking to understand what's happening inside of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so often what we find is Annette and I work with the same client because the woman who has stayed in a job too long, right, likely has internal work that needs to be done as she moves into a new role.
Yeah.
Sometimes they start that role within the company that they're at and they realize people are always seeing them through the same lens. And so they can't get the promotion. And so it's not just about doing the work. So in your current company, it might be starting to do the work so you understand what needs to be done, but then going to a new company where you can start to practice those skills and people don't have a defined perception of you. And so they might start with me and then realize they need to move to a new role, in which case then Annette can help them move to a new role or a new organization. Or they might start with Annette and say, I need a new job. And then they get to the new job and they find out, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing the same problems I had at my old job. Well, that tells you that that's not necessarily the job, that that's internal work that needs to be done. So what we do together is we try to normalize that we all experience bias.
Mm-hmm.
Bias is what I call other people's crap, right?
Yeah.
And there are many ways that we can assess this. And so our goal is to make sure that we don't feel alone when we deal with this and that we understand that sometimes we are our own worst enemy. And sometimes it's systemic. Sometimes it's structural. Sometimes it's what we learned. And sometimes it's the people that we're working with.
Sure. Sure.
So that's what we talk about on our podcast. We are always welcoming people to come and talk to us about their own experiences. The more I think we talk about what it's like to be a woman and what it's like to be a leader, the more grounding and normalizing the whole experience can be, because it can be very alienating.
Yeah, 100%. We have so much knowledge and so much wisdom. I feel like more and more women just need to get that voice out there. 100%. I agree with that. That's a huge part of my business too, is making sure that your voice is heard, because otherwise we're not doing the mystery schools like we used to, right? We're not doing the knitting circles like we used to. I mean, we are doing women's circles, but not in the way we used to. And
Yes.
So that learning from generation to generation and all of that has really been disconnected by
Yes.
technology. And
Yeah.
so being able to get our voices out there and get it heard by the right people that need to hear it is so important. So good job. Congratulations. I love that. Yeah.
We have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. I love, I too. I love having my podcast. It's but it does work with my human design, right? I mean, like
Yes.
I do have a divined throat chakra. So mine's defined. And actually I think it's the only one that has a closed gate. By the way, closed gate from my head to my throat. It's the only closed gate I actually have in my entire. If somebody came to you and said, I really feel like I need to get more of myself out there, what does my human design say? Does my human design say that I can start a podcast, that I can continue a podcast, that I can stick with it? What would you be looking for? What would you say to them?
So for manifesting generators, and we know a few of those.
We do.
For manifesting generators, I would say you will never know whether something's in alignment for yourself until you start. So start with something small.
Okay.
Because manifesting generators must always be in motion for them to understand whether something is in alignment or not.
Okay.
So if you're a generator, you can make that decision, right? Oh, I should start a podcast. I know that this isn't aligned for me. With a manifesting generator, you won't know until you actually start doing it. And so some of the conditioning that a manifesting generator might carry is, they're always starting new things and never finishing them. And people tend to look at that poorly. So they might be carrying a lot of conditioning around, oh, I'm always starting something new. I may not see this through. Yeah, because that's the way you were designed to be. The other thing to look at is, what is a person's profile? People with 3s and 6s in their profiles look a lot like that too, where they're kind of always starting something new. They're the jack of all trades, and they may or may not follow through on that. So there's lots of different places where your human design might tell you whether or not something it has the stuck-to-itiveness to it.
I was actually just briefly looking. My husband is a jack of all trades. He's literally a auto technician, and he's got a 3 in there. So yeah.
And he's a manifesting generator.
And he's a manifesting generator. Yeah, he's a 3-5 manifesting generator. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's got a lot of, let me try this. Let me try that. Let me try this other thing.
Oh yeah, he does. He's a mechanic. He plays guitar. He does rib smoking and competitions for that. And oh yeah, he's always got something. He's like, I want to do this. I want to do that.
Million ideas. Absolutely.
Yeah. I am so fascinated by this. I really appreciate your time today. I really absolutely loved these conversations about human design. I could talk to you for hours about it.
I know. Me too. And I do. I talk for hours because I'm a generator.
Because you're of course. Yeah. So could you tell the audience how to get a hold of you, how they can work with you, any and all of that? And I will definitely have your links in the show notes as well. But yeah.
The best place to find me is through my website, me, her, us. And there's hyphens in between that. So me-her-us.com. Because for me, it's not just about understanding ourselves. It's about understanding her and understanding how all of us work together. And really, you can get all of my other handles, emails, and locations through me, her, us. So
amazing. And I know that right there too, if they've never done their human design, you have a little link right there and they can find that. So
yes. So yes, you can go to the human design tab in my website and enter your information. You'll get your human design chart.
I do want to just preface to anybody that might be listening, if you've never done your human design, you do need to know where you were born, and you need to know your time of birth that for the most accuracy. So that is definitely something I just wanted to make mention there, because some people are taken aback by oh no, I need to know my exact time. So I just wanted to make that known as well. This has been such a great conversation, and I really hope that you have taken a look at your human design to see how this affects not only your business, but your podcast. And I really think that once you deep dive into this, it's not just astrology. This is directly connected to your birth date, your time that you were born, and also just where you were born. So please go take a look at Sandra's website. And again, that is me-her-us.com. And there's a tab on the top left there, and it says human design. Click there and just put in your information. She doesn't save it or keep it or anything like that. But what you'll see is what you are made of, what you're doing. So, all right. Thank you so much for everything today. And until next time, where your voice flows, your business grows. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me today. If you're ready to deepen your visibility and grow your podcast in a way that feels aligned, come join my email list at kpcreativemedia.com/newsletter, where I share exclusive guidance, support, and next steps. And if this episode resonated, I'd be so honored if you left a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the most powerful ways to support the show and help other spiritual women discover it. Until next time, keep showing up and sharing your voice.